Good morning. There, it worked that time. And welcome to the service of worship at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tucson. My name is Reverend Bethany Russell Lowe, and I have the great pleasure of serving as minister of this congregation. Our community is as varied as the blooms of the Sonoran Desert. Whoever you are, whoever you have been, and whoever you are in the path to becoming, I invite you to bring your whole self here and now. I extend a special welcome this morning to any visitors or guests or people who feel like visitors still who are joining us. Mary is going to post a link to the guest information card in our chat right now. If you want to stay in touch with us, go ahead and fill out that information after worship. We will meet today on Zoom for social hour right after the service. You can see prior e-blasts. It wasn't in this morning's e-blast, but you can see prior e-blasts for that information. And Mary is also going to post a link to that Zoom in the chat at the end of the service. So if you want to join us for Zoom social hour, stay on and look at the chat near the end of the service. There are a few of us here in Holland today, but you might just be seeing a couple of us. Myself is here. We have our fabulous tech team, Cynthia and Liz and Alicia and Cassandra and Larry. And we also have our childcare provider, Lily, here with my son, Otis. And our administrator, Mary, is in the building hosting your YouTube chat. Indoor in-person meetings are not permitted as of today, but as of this morning, the sharp Omicron wave has finally brought us down to a quote-unquote very high risk level as of today. So this is the first of that 7 continuous days that we need at very high to have indoor in-person gatherings, which, if you are following along, means that next Sunday, our policies would permit indoor in-person worship at a limited capacity. Yay, there was much celebrating, right? There's some celebrating here. So Mary is going to send around a sign-up link sometime early this week. There's going to be limited capacity, as I said. It will be first come, first serve, but there will be other opportunities in future weeks for a different number of people to join us. So there's going to be an email early this week where you could sign up for that. If you are not able to fill up the Sign Up Genius, you can call the front office when that link goes live, and Mary could reserve you a spot. So look out for an email from Mary. Don't start calling the office now. Look out for an email from Mary earlier this week. And I want to prepare you for something that will happen later in the service that involves a new technology. So I'm preparing because sometimes there's a little bit of anxiety around those type of things. It's going to be in the second reflection spot. I will be inviting you to go to an online website called menti.com. Don't go there now, but I'm just preparing you. You're going to go there and submit an answer to a question. And it will be easiest for you to do this if you have a smartphone or a tablet or the ability to open another window on your browser. So just prepare yourself. Maybe during one of the moments you might go and grab that if you don't have it next to you already. This is just advance notice so you can prepare. Welcome. We are so glad you are here this morning. These words for call to worship come from Unitarian Universalist Reverend Alex Klingenberg. It is okay to throw away the Tupperware that has the mystery mold growing in it in the back of the fridge. It is okay to buy new underwear instead of washing the laundry today. It is okay to wash the mug. It is okay to eat crackers and cheese and carrots and blueberries for dinner. You don't have to cook to eat well. It is okay that you've only got one thing done today. You're allowed to cancel that catch-up phone call because you desperately want to watch TV. It is okay if TikTok is keeping you alive. It is okay if you don't feel much of anything. It is okay if you're just surviving right now. I'm sorry, it's so hard. But it is okay that you are not okay. Come, let us worship together. If you have a chalice or a candle nearby, I invite you to light it with us now as we read these words of chalice lighting from Reverend Katie Romano Griffin. May the flame of this chalice, the symbol of our faith, connect us to all who have come before us, all who are with us in body and spirit, and all who are yet to come into being. May it serve as a reminder of our unity and connection across all time and space. Other camera.
When the world is sick, can no one be well? But I dreamt we was all beautiful and strong. When the world is sick, can no one be well? But I dreamt we was all beautiful and strong. When the world is sick, can no one be well? But I dreamt we was all beautiful and strong. When the world is sick, can no one be well? But I dreamt we was all beautiful and strong. When the world is sick, can no one be well? We was all and dreamt we was all beautiful and strong. When the world is no one be around. We was all around. We was all beautiful and strong. When the world is no one be around. We was all around. We was all beautiful and strong. When the world is no one be around. We was all around. We was all beautiful and strong. When the world is no one be around. We was all around. We was all beautiful and strong.
In the Buddha's time, in the city of Sawati, there was a very poor young girl. She was very thin and haggard, and was called Gisa Gotami, or Haggard Gotami. Because she was poor and unattractive, she was unable to find a husband, and this caused her to be depressed. One day, a rich merchant chose her to be his wife. He was able to see through her rough exterior and see her inner worth. However, unlike the merchant, the other members of his family were not able to overlook her poverty, appearance, or family background. When she gave birth to a baby boy, everything changed for her. Her husband's whole family doted on her and accepted her as the mother of their future heir. Gisa Gotami felt immense relief and felt as if a great burden had been lifted. She allowed herself to hope that this would last forever, so when her little son suddenly fell ill, she became anxious and fearful. She did whatever she could to help him. But it wasn't enough. Her son died in her arms, and this was just too much for her to bear. These thoughts overwhelmed her, and she refused to accept that her baby was dead. He's not dead. He's not. He's just sick. Yes, that's it. He's just sick. I have to find him medicine. No one understands. I am his mother. I must save him. And with this, she ran out of the house with a dead baby in her arms, determined to find a medicine to cure his illness. She rapped on the door of the first house she came across, and when it opened, she said, "Please, sir, you must help me. My baby needs medicine." When he took a look at the baby, he said, "Ma'am, your baby is dead. There's no medicine for death." Gisa Gotami refused to accept this and went to another house. "Please, ma'am, please give me medicine for my baby. He's so sick," she repeated at the next house, only to again hear, "That baby's not sick, it's dead." Many people scorned and mocked her, but she finally came to a house of a wise and kind man who recognized that her grief had made her mentally ill. He said, "Ma'am, I know that I have no medicine that can fix what ails your baby. Not many doctors will. However, if anyone in the entire world could help, it would be the Buddha. Only he knows if there is a remedy for your child." Gisa Gotami immediately took off and went to the Buddha's temple at Jetavana. With the child's corpse in her arms, she implored the Buddha, "Sir, great sir, please give me medicine for my child. He's so sick. He needs help. Please help him." The Buddha replied that he knew of a medicine, but she would have to procure it herself. Eagerly, she asked what it could be. The Buddha then said, "Mustard seeds." Everyone in the room was shocked at the master's reply. She asked where she would have to go to get these mustard seeds. The Buddha replied that she merely had to get a small amount from any house where no one had ever died. She trusted him and thanked him profusely. She then set off to find the medicine that would save her baby. At the first house, Gisa Gotami asked, "Ma'am, do you have any mustard seeds?" "Of course we do. How many do you need?" "Only a few. Could you spare some for me?" "Of course. Wait here. I'll bring them for you." When the lady brought back the mustard seeds, Gisa Gotami felt immense hope. She smiled when the seeds were in her hands, and she turned to leave. However, she remembered the master's words, so she turned back and asked, "Ma'am, excuse me, but has anyone ever died in this house?" "How did you know?" "We're holding services for my mother who just passed away a few days ago." Gisa Gotami felt all hope leave her like air from a deflating balloon. She handed the kind woman back her mustard seeds and said, "I'm sorry, I can't use these." And then she continued on to the next house. At the next house, Gisa Gotami asked if anyone in the house had ever died. "Ah, yes, my grandmother died 5 years ago." At the next house, she asked, "Has anyone in this house ever died?" The young man answered, "My daughter died just 5 months ago." At the next house, she asked the same question. The sisters who opened the door told Gisa Gotami about their father, who had passed away a year ago. At the next house, Gisa Gotami asked again, "Has anyone in this house ever died?" A man answered, his voice full of sorrow, "Both my mother and young baby died recently." Gisa Gotami could not find a single home where nobody had ever died. Many people told her, "The dead are more numerous than the living." After knocking on countless doors, all of which were affected by death and loss, Gisa Gotami began to realize that she was not alone. Death was a common human fate. In fact, she realized that it was the fate of all living beings. No one could tell her or make her understand. Only her own experience of going door to door could make this clear to her. She understood the law of impermanence and that death would always come as the dancing partner to life. When a person's mind is deeply attached, infatuated with sons and cattle, death grabs them and carries them away, as a flood does a sleeping village.
As the Buddhist tale reminds us, no household has been spared from the feeling of grief. Death, whether literal or metaphor, is part of life. And so too, grief is part of life. And yet our cultures, and by that I mean both our American and our Unitarian Universalist cultures, encourage us to put our grief in boxes, to put time limits and space limits, behavioral limits around how and when we are allowed to grieve. But to grieve is to live, and to live is to grieve. Last week, I took part in a professional development workshop called "Have You Made Art About It Yet?" We used a framework called the Jewish studio process, which is inspired by the Jewish practice of Yehuda study, a study of sacred texts with a partner. And we use sacred texts on the topic of grief to inspire our creativity, our making of art. After we read and then discussed and then created, we were asked to sit with our art about grief and to treat it as a friend. And as we sat with this grief art friend, we journaled, contemplated, processed. And as I sat with this art, my grief, my friend, day after day, I realized that moving towards my grief didn't fulfill the fears I had. I didn't become overwhelmed or crispy fried. Moving towards my grief, befriending my grief, made me feel more whole. This morning, you will hear a number of readings on the topic of grief. Why grief? Some might ask. Well, we are into our third year of a pandemic, and we are many centuries into the pandemics of racialized violence and colonization, and we are struggling to maintain any semblance of democracy in our country, and our earth is heating up and becoming uninhabitable. How can we do anything but grieve? And yet our faith calls us to do more, yes, but we have to grieve too. So the question this morning that I want us to explore is, what if we befriend our grief? What could that change in us? I have that invitation for you. You will listen to a number of readings and songs on the topic of grief this morning. I ask that you treat these words, these songs, these silences as friends, as sacred texts. Sit with them, listen to them, listen to you, befriend your grief. Our first reading this morning comes from Rainer Maria Rilke, as translated by Joanna Macy. Quiet friend who has come so far, feel how your breathing makes more space around you. Let this darkness be a bell tower, and you the bell. And you ring. As you ring, what batters you becomes your strength. Move back and forth into the change. What is it like? Such intensity of pain. If the drink is bitter, turn yourself into wine. In this uncontainable night, be the mystery at the crossroads of your senses, the meaning discovered there. And if the world has ceased to hear you, say to the silent earth, I flow. To the rushing water speak, I am. This next reading is from Denise Levertov, called Talking to Grief. Ah, grief, I should not treat you like a homeless dog who comes to the back door for a crust for a meatless bone. I should trust you. I should coax you into the house and give you your own corner, a worn mat to lie on, your own water dish. You think I don't know you've been living under my porch. You long for your real place to be readied before winter comes. You need your name, your collar and tag. You need the right to warn off intruders, to consider my house your own, and me your person, and yourself my own dog. Whether your grief in this moment is like that quiet friend, or the one who has been treated as a homeless dog, invite it in, befriend it for this hour. Our earth is strong. It can hold our pain and our joy, our love and our anger. Our shared bowl, which we use for joys and sorrows each week, is strong enough to hold the big rocks, our collective celebrations, our collective mournings, and also those smaller stones that we add to signify your individual joys and sorrows. We who live in the desert know that water is a life-sustaining and scarce resource. As Cassandra pours water over these rocks from a plastic jug similar to the ones used by those seeking to assure greater access to the water in the desert, like our ministry partner, No More Deaths, please consider that sacred value of water. And if you have brought with you this morning, wherever you are, a joy or a sorrow, a love, a concern, an anger, I invite you to put it in the chat right now. I will read whatever you put in the chat out loud after Chris plays some music with us, and Cassandra is going to drop small stones into the water as Chris plays to signify whatever you are bringing. There is so much I want to lift out of the chat. Prayers for Diane and Marilyn, Jim, Ariana, Jerry, Shirley, Vicky. I'm sure there are more names. Yes, let's all join in prayer for Mary Holly's upcoming aortic valve replacement surgery this coming Friday at Mayo Clinic in Phoenix. Mary Holly, our arms are around you. And two in the chat have noted that their spouses of many, many decades have died recently. Prayers to you as you grieve, comfort even in those hardest moments to you. And yes, a joy as always for the beautiful music, Chris. Thank you. These words of prayer this morning, if grief has been stirred up in you, come from Adrienne Marie Brown. Remember, you are water. Of course you leave salt trails. Of course you are crying. Flow. If there happens to be a multitude of griefs upon you, individual and collective, fast or slow, small or large, add equal parts of these considerations. That the broken heart can cover more territory. That perhaps love can only be as large as grief demands. That grief is like the growing of the heart that bursts boundaries like an old skin or a finished life. That grief is gratitude. That water seeks scale. That even your tears seek the recognition of community. that the heart is a front line and the fight is to feel in a world of distraction, that death might be the only freedom, that your grief is a worthwhile use of your time, that your body will feel only as much as it is able to, that the ones you grieve maybe even are grieving you, that the sacred comes from the limitations, that you are excellent at loving. May you know these words to be true. We have two more readings, and Chris has offered musical ways of processing grief to go in between these two readings. Our first of these two readings comes from Marie Howe, called What the Living Do. Johnny, the kitchen sink has been clogged for days. Some utensil probably fell down there, and the Drano won't work, but smells dangerous. And the crusty dishes have piled up, waiting for the plumber I still haven't called. This is the everyday we spoke of. It's winter again. The sky's a deep, headstrong blue, and the sunlight pours through the open living room windows because the heat's on too high in here, and I can't turn it off. For weeks now, driving or dropping a bag of groceries in the street, the bag breaking, I've been thinking, this is what the living do. And yesterday, hurrying along those wobbly bricks in the Cambridge sidewalk, spilling my coffee down my wrist and sleeve, I thought it again. And again later, when buying a hairbrush. This is it. Parking, slamming the car door shut in the cold, what you called that yearning, what you finally gave up. We want the spring to come and the winter to pass. We want whoever to call or not call, a letter, a kiss. We want more and then more of it. But there are moments, walking, when I catch a glimpse of myself in the window glass, say the window of the corner video store, and I'm gripped by a cherishing so deep for my own blowing hair, chapped face, an unbuttoned coat that I'm speechless. I am living. I remember you. Otherwise by Jane Kenyon. I got out of bed on 2 strong legs. It might have been otherwise. I ate cereal, sweet, milk, ripe, flawless, peach. It might have been otherwise. I took the dog uphill to the birch wood. All morning I did the work I love. At noon I lay down with my mate. It might have been otherwise. We ate dinner together at the table with silver candlesticks. It might have been otherwise. I slept in a bed, in a room with paintings on the walls, and planned another day just like that day. But one day, I know it will be otherwise. The life of our congregation continues to thrive in this pandemic. I see it every day, every week in those who keep showing up to do the work, even and especially when it's hard. Our congregation depends on all these volunteers and also your financial support. To support our congregation, you can send a check to the office, give online at uuctucson.org/donate, or text 833-361-5796. For our offertory today, I'm offering a hymn. You are invited to sing along if you want, if that will help in you process whatever it is you are carrying.
Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Holy breath and holy name, will you ease this pain? Holy breath and holy name, will you ease this pain? Loosen, loosen, baby, and you don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby, and you don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. You ease let go. Loosen, loosen, baby, and you don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. You ease let go. Loosen, loosen, baby, and you don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. You ease let go. pain. Loosen, loosen, baby, and you don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. You ease like pain. The weight of the world in your muscles and bones. You ease like pain. The weight of the world in your muscles and bones. You ease like pain. The weight of the world in your muscles and bones. You go, let go, let go.
Loosen, loosen, loosen. You don't have to carry the weight of the world. Let go, let go, let go. Before I start some more reflection words, I'd like to offer a space for you to name the grievings you are feeling. This is where you will need that new browser window open, or a phone or a tablet of some sort. We will be using Mentimeter, which some of you have used before, to collect your responses to the question, what are you grieving? So go ahead, get that phone or that tablet or that new browser window open, and go to menti.com and put in the code 5214-9902. And if I just said that too fast for you, you should see on your screen right now those identical instructions at the top. But I'll say it again, menti.com, and put in the code 5214-9902. Your comment, whatever it is, will be anonymous by default. So if that's how you would like it to be, just answer that question. If you would like to have your name attached to your comment, please type your full name at the beginning or end of your answer. Friends, what are you grieving right now? And once you have answered, turn your eyes back to the screen and read the answers as they come. I will also say them out loud. Our tech team is going to scroll one by one through our answers. But take your time to submit as many grievings as you need. Death of a family friend. Being so isolated, yes. A damaged relationship. Living far away from family and friends who are like family. Lack of accessible resources to address mental health. Oof, the climate. My daughter's break in her relationship. I especially feel sad for my 2 grandkids. Oof, sending prayers for all of them. I'm grieving the false but comforting idea that my child is advanced and didn't need help in school. I terribly miss the freedom to travel safely to see my family and friends back east. Yes, they're with you. The loss of my mom and all parents. The many opportunities lost during the pandemic, big and small, social milestones, events. Yes, we feel that. 23 months and counting. The loss of one of our beloved church members. Yes, many, too many. I can't even name it. I see you. I feel you. The tremendous destruction of communities and wildlife and the loss of human and animal lives due to climate change. Yes, we grieve. My husband of 60 years died January 19th. Waves of grief hit me unexpectedly, but I'm doing pretty well. Oh, I'm impressed with that pretty well. Prayers to you. I am grieving the loss of unity in our nation. Yes. Grieving being in physical community. Me too. Grieving friends with serious illnesses. Yes, we've been there. We're there with you. Grieving the divide in our country. You're not alone. Singing. Yes, singing together. The road, that road I've lost faith on, where, how to walk with others. Breathing. The abuse of our planet and her living things. Yes, thank you for that truth. Loss of so many things I relied on. That our democracy is on the brink and voting rights are threatened. Yes, deep grief. The polarization of the USA and its threat to our democracy. We know you're not alone. No vaccine for kids under 5. Yep, deep grief. The loss of my powerful voice from throat cancer. The death of my ancestors and siblings. Oh, too real. I see you. The loss of my wife after 70 years of marriage. Sending you love, deep breaths. Loss of relaxed dining and gathering for events. Social hour. Yes. Soon and not soon enough. Health issues of family member. Close family members who have passed away over the years. The loss of relationship with my beloved daughter who has chosen estrangement. Oh, sending love and hugs back to you, Linny, breathing with you. Our broken covenant with the natural world. The constant erosion of my beloved democracy. Yes, there are themes here emerging. You are not alone. The ever-increasing losses as I age. I know you are also not alone. Social and political dysfunction in the world today. Shirley Huddle passing. Prayers for her. Health challenges of so many. Yes. The loss of youth. The loss of a coworker to COVID-19, the death of one of my oldest friends, and the death of a 34-year marriage through divorce. Oh, so much to grieve, so many deaths. Grieving so many lost pets, yes. My health, sending prayers of comfort to you. loss of my baby. It is too much. Too much. The loss of income, housing, and food for so many. My health again. Thank you. I see you. I feel you. You saw in those answers that you are not alone. Some of you showed up today needing space to grieve. And you got a friend, a few words, a lyric, a note, a moment that made you feel seen and heard and known. I get that. And some of you showed up today tired of grieving, weary of worrying, 100% done with the sad stuff. And I get that too. And I'm focusing on grief today intentionally because as we move closer towards having in-person events, worship again, I want us to remember how to be in touch with our grief, how to be open about our grief, how to share our grief, to not distance ourselves from it, and also not let our grief overcome us. It will be a fine balance, a hard balance. Because grief is a cousin to change, and a lot has changed in the past 2+ years, not just around us in society. We have changed. We are older, wearier, more forgetful. Our lives have changed. We have changed. We are divorced now, sick now, feeling more alone now. There is so much that will have changed that we can't communicate over Zoom, but will be apparent when we are here, in body, in person. There is so much grief ahead of us. And there is a new meaning then for our commitment to hold one another in community. Here we offer no medicine for death, no cure for grief, but we do offer you this, which the story this morning illustrated for us. You are definitely not alone. You are never alone. We are here for you, always, here for each other, always. Together, we can hold all of it. It is part of what church does. We say, come just as you are. Bring all of who you are. Feel it here. We cannot take the load from you, but we can carry it with you. Loosen. Don't try to control your grief or put it in boxes. Invite it in. Treat it as you would a beloved friend. It has stories to tell, and the telling can loosen some of that pain. You do not have to carry the weight of the whole world in your muscles and bones. We together carry that weight. Let go. Release the burden of individualism. Lean into community here. You are part of a larger love that will never let you go. Let's sing together, if you will. The words will appear on your screen, even if you don't know the tune. Just follow along.
When I am frightened, will you reassure me? When I'm uncertain, will you hold as you do, and I may learn to care.
When I am angry, will you still embrace me? When I am thoughtless, you understand. Will you believe in me? Stand by me willingly. Will you share some of your questions with me? If you will show me acceptance, then I may learn to give as you do. Then I may learn to give. When I am troubled, will you listen to me? When I am lonely, will you be my friend? Will you be there for me? Comfort me tenderly. Will you share some of your feelings with me? If you will show me commitment, then I may learn to love as you do. Then I may learn to love.
Friends, I hope that this hour has given you a new name for your grief. New dog, otherwise worthwhile use of my time, friend. I hope this hour has assured you that you do not grieve alone. When the world is sick, can't no one be well. I hope that this hour has assured you that you do not carry your grief alone. The weight of the world is ours to carry together. Loosen, loosen. Learn to care, learn to give, learn to love. We are here for you, just as you are. See you next week. And join me in these words of chalice extinguishing as Cass extinguishes our chalice. This is the message of our faith: to act with passion in the face of injustice, to love with courage in the midst of life's pain. This is the meaning of our chalice flame. May it empower our hearts until we are together again.